everyone and welcome to the And More Bus Videos YouTube channel. This is And More Bus Videos, otherwise known as And More Central, depending on what video you're watching and what day of the week it is. And welcome to Rye, specifically the premiering Stop A in Rye Village Centre. So our last video on Smarden, we finished at Rye. We finished exactly in this bus stop bay. We did the 349 up, it ended up on the 314, and we left it there at that. However, I did say in that video how much I enjoyed the 349 service and how I fancied driving the 347. Now, the 347 is an interesting route, and I will talk about this as I set up the vehicle that we're going to be driving. I will introduce it shortly. There we go. Is that okay? And the 347 is an interesting service because it only has a couple of trips on it. It's sort of like a peak time, more direct, semi-direct service to the 349 semi-direct. I'll also change the weather so we've got something a little bit more exciting going on. Hopefully. It might be staying like that. But I had a little look and I found a 347 service. So there's only a couple that run throughout the day. There's a couple of short workings that run in between other routes. And then there is a long trip. I believe there'll be a return journey as well at peak evening. But there's a long trip that leaves at 7:15 in the morning. So we are finding my running board that is down there. There we go. I had that exact same issue last time. So we set up from here at 7:15 and it's just off this board, but we get there at bang on 8:15. Okay. Hey, there we go. That's right. Brilliant. So we will get that set up and then we will see if I can see if this has been set up. There we go, the bus station. That's the one that we're doing, so I'll let the blinds do their thing. There we go. So it's the 347 to Wantsum. So the vehicle that we're driving in this video is SM14EAJ. That is First York's 47474. Now the reason I wanted to drive 47474, apart from the rather amusing number, is the livery that it carries. And that is the York Hospital bus. This will be one of the rare liveries that you see in OMSI 2. Not many people tend to drive with it because it is quite a specific livery. It was for the hospital bus service, the HSB, that runs between York Hospital and Rawcliffe Bar Park and Ride, that is to the north-west of the city. So with the hospital being North York, they have issues with parking there. Obviously, it's quite an old city, and the hospital being so close to the city centre means that there's parking problems. So what they decided to do was, just before sort of COVID kicked off, they introduced this hospital shuttle bus service using two shorter wheelbase streetlights that are transferred from Manchester for the service, of which 47474 got branded up and painted for, as you can see in this livery. Now, unfortunately, with the service cuts coming up, the requirement for First West Yorkshire and York to reduce their vehicle output, what do you call it? The PVR, that's the one, peak vehicle output. Not in gear. So with the issue that they're having to reduce PVR, one of the services that York have got rid of to enable them to do that is the hospital bus service. So currently has a PVR of 2, and they will be cutting that service, and that means people will have to travel on the standard park and ride into the city centre and either walk up or connect onto a 6 bus for further travel. So I've never done the 347, however, I do remember when we drove the 349, I used the 10.8 metre C200, and for this video, because I was like, well, I can't really drive that again, I thought I would have a little drive of the 10.8 metre streetlight instead. I don't really fancy driving the smaller one, the 8.9 metre, because I can't really relate to it. I think I've seen one recently with Preston Bus, but apart from that, I've never been on any, and it's the first one I've seen. So I relate a lot more to the 10.8 metre spec, obviously with them being a predominant type with First Bus and pretty much First Bus's main minibus type at the moment, bar the places such as Mousehole and Cornwall, where these buses are significantly too big for that service. You stopping? Okay. So it'd be nice to see how this bus copes in contrast to the C200. The Streetlight is pretty much the only other bus that I would trust on these hills. I wouldn't trust any other bus on these hills and these tight roads. I am expecting it obviously to be a little bit bumpier and a little bit more clunky in parts compared to the C200, but we shall see how it goes. And hopefully we'll get round the route unscathed, obviously. Getting the C200 round has prompted me to think that we shouldn't have an issue with this. Otherwise, I'd have gone with these shorter street lights. So I did have a choice of liveries. I thought we'd go with the hospital bus because it is a route that is getting withdrawn. I believe it might actually be withdrawn by the time this video is released. So it might have already gone. So I feel, well, after that service goes, there's going to be very little relevance to drive with this livery. And I doubt there'll be any videos on it because it'd be the random livery for an obscure bus route that people probably saw once and probably forgot about because it used street lights that no longer exists. It doesn't really have that much of a good ring to it. Apparently Wantsum is... How is it 3 miles away? I don't believe that. It can't be 3 miles away if I have to travel an hour to get there. I'm also expecting this service to be slightly busy, with it being a peak time run. I presume that's why it's a shorter journey time. However, it is important to note that it still observes most of the villages that the 349 does. We did point out a few of the slight route changes in the last video, so we'll see obviously what the major changes are here and there on the main route bit. I mean, obviously with Rye, we've left Rye a little bit quicker. I imagine we'll do the same in Wantsum. Getting to the bus station, we'll be there a little bit quicker. So, but it'd be nice to see the changes and things within the actual route. So say this, for example, this is new. Easy. There we go. Now, luckily for us, with this bus, the mirrors are pretty spot on. I did just want to check that turn because it was incredibly tight. But the mirrors on this are spot on compared to the C200. They bow out at the totally correct angle to get a rough gist. And for the bus, the one thing I will miss is the double mirror set that pointed down to the ground, because that was quite good to see. Local clearance and things like that. That was incredibly helpful. What's also not going to be quite nice is that the lighting is currently facing opposite us. Otherwise, that would have been quite a nice screenshot. You're coming through. Yeah, I just assumed you were a parked up car. Our first reverse job of the video. The first of many, I would presume. So I know the hospital bus did occasionally stray from that service. It was at one point a regular on the 6 route and has, I believe, done a couple of the park and rides during COVID times when they were especially quiet. but in more recent times it has just been devoted to the hospital bus service. Now it's unsure what they're going to be doing. Presumably the street lights are going to be staying on, and they will be these sort of assistive vehicles to get rid of more of the newer eclipses that they have there. And then obviously once these new electric vehicles that they're getting arrive, the last of the eclipses will go, and then these may also disappear off elsewhere as well. Got to remember that they have got rid of other services like the 12 recently. Goodness. Close we are to the... Oh, okay, and he's just going to drive straight through us. I was about to do some sort of amazing twirl to get into that side street, but clearly the driver was not willing to stick around to watch my amazing feat. So that's up to them. I'm not complaining. It is such a shame again that the light is facing the wrong way, because this does absolutely look really, really bliss. 2 degree, I'm going to get that screenshot anyway. We'll try another screenshot. I know that the lighting is not there, and I've kind of gone to accept that at this point. I still want some nice screenshots down this route. So, and that was my phone that's on the desk. Oh, my phone has gone a little bit berserk. I do like these narrow roads. I mean, for peak time morning service to go down these, this is pretty cool. And then you can obviously tell that this is the 347 only section. So these villages are presumably only served once or twice a day. That again is just the kind of thing that I love driving. Really, really do. That says vehicle turning area. Does that mean that we reverse? Yes, it does, okay. Yes, it does mean that we reverse and go back out. I'm not particularly inclined to reversing back onto a semi-main road, if I'm entirely honest. Did also forget this had a reversing camera. Not now! We are going to have to mount that curb to get out. But I'd rather do that than wipe out that van if we can help it. So we'll go all the way in there to serve one bus stop. That usually, if that was in real life, I imagine the bus would just stop on the main road. Although in fairness, did we not just... Hang on, did we come from that way? We have, haven't we? So yeah, no, I tell a lie, I do understand why we've just done that. I forgot which direction we came into that road from. So yes, no, we've done that. Although even then, possibly serving the main road would be a little bit easier. Rather complaining already. It's always a good sign when you're not even 10 minutes in. This is really, really scenic. And that is a cow. Easy. There we go. Nice and wide roads. Or wide-ish. It's probably as good as this map does get with those kind of things. Oh my goodness. Alright. This is definitely getting tighter. Hang on, did we clear that? We have... Yeah, we cleared that. That was fine. I preferred if the F4 camera didn't send me a million miles away. But yes, apart from, as I say, pushing back some of the shrubbery, we did okay. As per with these things. Yeah, that's when you know... Huh? Oh, okay. Now, there we go. I was like, why are we orbiting around grass? Then kind of was like, oh, that's why. Apparently they're wanting to get off here. There we go. Off you get. Goodbye. This is really, really nice. Just to think most of this route is only served a couple of times a day, and if you drive just your common shifts on here, you just would not see this at all. Sorry mate, I'm not letting you on there. I'm actually going up to the bus stop, so I know that I've cleared all of this. This has got very, very tight very quickly. Noticed that I was coming around that wall and I was like, getting quite close to that fence. It's very close to that fence. There we go. Only just, but we did do it. These people will be like, why is the bus that big? The one positive about it, though, is getting around the turns and in between the gaps. Driving the street like you do know it can get round. That's quite nice, because obviously the short street light is the vehicle of choice for most people on here. So yes, we do have the slight length that, for me, has not, as of yet, touch wood, is not a particular problem. But the width, the width's identical, so this is amazing. Proper hairpin bends. This is screenshot worthy again. Well, he says. We can attempt a screenshot. I don't think it's going to particularly what we're trying to aim for, but there we go. Oh, this is lovely, is this? I mean, the fact that we've just... I just assumed that there was quite a lot of this that would just be identical to the 349. And this is much more my kind of route, is this. Much more. Going through all the individual villages and down all the narrow tracks and things like that. This is very exciting. Okay, I don't quite know what that was, but presumably didn't like one of the bumps. Don't walk over to me. I'm going to the curb. I'm going that over to the curve. I'm going to slightly mount the curve. Also late. Goodness. I'll have to make up some of the time when we get to the big carriageway roads, I think. Oh, this is just really nice. All perfectly modelled as well. Like it feels like you are in a proper rural countryside area. You're not just like pinging in between geographies and things. This feels like we're trekking for miles and miles and miles in all the villages. For those of you that have watched the And More Central channel, you'll notice I did a day in Staffordshire, South Staffordshire to be precise, with Select Bus. I think it was did Select Bus, and we did the odd Chase Rider route, but it was predominantly Select Bus. We went, it was predominantly Select, and we started off on an SPD Dart, an SK52. It's since been withdrawn by Select. I think I went on it in its last few days in service because I've been wanting to go on one of them for ages. It's been so long since I'd been on an old ex-Lothian SPD. And I saw it was tracking. I was down there, thought, yeah, we'll go and get that. So I got quite lucky in the way I got that up, and then I got a B7 President down to and fro from pretty much from Stafford, Wolverhampton. Well, Wolverhampton, Stafford in the morning, and then Stafford or Penkridge just south of Stafford, to Wolverhampton in the afternoon. And it worked out really, really nicely, because we had the SPD DAT going up on the 877 that is identical to this. Like, this is very much screaming rural single track roads 877 job. And then we came back on the 878 that I'd probably more describe, yes, it's not as narrow because we had a decker on it, but I would more describe that as the 349, where it's sort of semi-tight, semi-rural, but a lot more of it is on the main roads and things like that. So there's not as much as this, like that, going around those estates. That was really, really nice. That's a car. We're going to ignore that because you all saw that I did look. I wasn't able to creep at that junction because either way the car wouldn't have stopped. So I did look, couldn't see it, and had to go anyway because I knew full well that if I pulled out a little bit, the car would still drive into me anyway. So there we go. So this is hopefully the kind of roads that we can slightly catch up our time on. I hope. Because I know when we did the 349, we ended up being either late or just on time throughout the entire route to like the last 15 minutes. When we got to the dual carriageway, I absolutely floored it, and then floored it on this kind of road. And we ended up being about nearly 10 minutes early. So I did quite well with that. It's relatively busy as well as the bus. Yeah, you can definitely tell it's a peak time service. Very much tell that, and then obviously gets into Wantsum at 8:15, so everybody that starts at 8:30 or 9 o'clock in the office jobs and stuff like that can get this. And then I presume that the other one leaves at just after 5, so probably 5:15 or 5:30 or something like that. Oh, in fairness, I might even go to Stirry Station so people could get off there. First exit. Still find it quite amusing how tight that roundabout is for buses like this. And we've already got people waiting for us for the other direction. It's quite nice to drive all of these easy routes on open plains, and it's quite nice to drive up and down on routes like Oakford the 90. But then every so often it is really, really nice to just take a trek on a route like this. Really, really different. You've got the challenges there. It just provides a bit more interest. I don't know how late we're only. Yeah, we're more than 2 minutes late. We are still 3. Oh no, we do 2. I'm quite glad I checked that before I went back the way we've just come. That's not the best parking. Everyone's wanting to get off. It does tend to happen a lot when I'm driving the street lights, where people do want to get off. I think it's a lot of it is down to the very realistic sort of street light jerking that it does, just like they do in real life. I don't think the OMSI AI really like it. It's definitely not to their taste, but unfortunately when you're driving a bus like this that does have its sudden brakes and does have its judders and things like that, you can't really do much about it. So we want the second exit. And the fact that I'm trying to avoid going into that roundabout every time I go around it. So those angles are not friendly. So yeah, first York in real life, they are doing a lot of cutbacks. East Yorkshire, I think I mentioned in the 349 video, are taking over the 12 service in York. It was previously the first bus route, first bus ran it for ages. And that's one of those going back to the original network style routes is the 12, the old pink line. They ran it for ages. It's sort of been cut back and cut back here and there. Really suffered through COVID. Never really bounced back after that, unfortunately. So it was going to be for withdrawal. Transdev York stepped in and said that we'll run it commercially. And then we're basically like, well, if there's no tender, we're not going to run it. And then the City Council have stepped in and put a tender in. But in turn have given the tender to East Yorkshire Motor Services, who are now going to run it under the brand new York Locals brand. Oh, I think this... Oh, this is that massive hill that I was like, well, I'm quite glad that we're not actually going up that in the previous video. See, this will just be really slow, but we won't have a particular problem with it. However, I still really don't want to stop it if I can help it. That means I don't really like meeting all these cars going round the hills because they are getting closer and closer. Oh my goodness. Just gonna have to stop because wheel's pretty much over the edge. We've knocked a bollard out of the way because the cars will just keep coming along. So yeah, we have so far wiped out a bollard. Wiped out a car that I wasn't able to see and would have, even if I'd have inched forward a little bit to get a better view, it would have still driven into it. So I don't count that. And we've wiped out a bollard, but I don't think the bollard can be helped because I didn't particularly like here. I don't really want to stop. Oh, we've got a bit of room to that side. That's not too bad. But yeah, we're okay. I think the mirrors are slightly more deceptive. Goodness me. That car was not stopping for anyone, he just got round. Oof, that was very close. And then I think we're about to go over that bridge. I don't know if I think we go into Lower Moncton and then go over the bridge, if I remember correctly. This is still an amazing map. I remember when it came out, I wasn't playing OMSI much at the time. I was quite busy, and I just saw all these videos on these really tight routes and all of this, and I thought, oh, hang on, what's this map? And it took me absolutely ages to get around to downloading it. Absolutely ages. And having driven all the other services, I was like, oh, they're really cool. I always want to do these longer routes at some point, and it's such a pleasure to finally have time to do them. Really, really is. Ah, yes, I don't think, yeah, no, we don't go up all the way up there. And this is the famous, you can fit with a car. I'd still rather not, but... So gonna try and speed up like an absolute lunatic to get across this. So that we don't meet said dreaded car. But that looks really nice, goodness me. That looks really nice. We're getting some very good screenshots. Now that we're actually in the right angle for the sun. Initially, I looked at that path there and I thought that was the path that came off the bridge. Kind of panicked, if I'm honest. Varying road width. There we go. Oh, now this is cool. I did go into World Rally Championship mode there. I'm going to be honest, but I'm conscious that I don't want to be too late if I can help it. I'm quite glad that AI had a little bit of intelligence to wait at the passing point. That very much took me by surprise. That was a nice run. Love that road. Very, very nice. Oh, okay. And that car, we're going to ignore the fact that car drove through me. Because I didn't quite realise we were going to be going down here. And then we have slightly impaled that wall. Although that's going to be down to the fact that I really didn't expect us to be going down this road. That was very unexpected. I sort of saw the sign and thought it meant for the section after. So I think we slightly touched the wall, only slightly though. So it wasn't a full blown accident because those walls I believe are spleens. It would have let us know by pinging the bus up if we'd have properly hit it. So I think it was probably just incredibly close, i.e. a slight scrape. But overall, not too bad still. I just think knowing about that in the future, I can obviously avoid something like that happening again. This reminds me of Innsbruck. I remember when Innsbruck was as good as it got with tight roads. And then, obviously, the entire UK side of OMSI kicked off. I'm quite glad we're not going down there, because I'd never get round that turn. God, it's just getting tighter and tighter. This is amazing. It's just the scenery as well. It's just perfect. Really, really perfect. And I'm not a particular fan of these trucks being here, if I'm entirely honest. Ooh, this is incredibly tight for comfort. Have I been down here before? Have I ever been down here, or I've definitely watched a video of someone driving down here. But I'm quite certain I might have actually been down here in the past. Because I did recognise that right turn, I just totally forgot the fact that we had to go down that narrow section to start off with. But where does the arrow say? There we got the left. Brilliant. Oh, I can't see it. Oh, that's a car. Let's avoid the car. Already had enough of them driving into me today already. Don't drive in. Oh, okay. That's another one. He could have waited. He could have waited. So yeah, that was an interesting experience. Say that, we might actually go all the way back now. Huh. You watch us go all the way back again. And all the places I said I don't want to meet a car, we'll meet them at every single one. Yep. Seems about right. Been caught by a car behind as well. It's not like me. Yep, all the way back up the bit we properly whizzed down. Gosh, it does not like this hill. I can only imagine what other buses would be like. Because even the street lights are struggling to find the gear. That's never good news, is that? Yeah, it's very much not enjoying this hill, is this bus, whatsoever. So if we keep going... Oh, and we've met a car. I did say we'd meet the cars on the bridge, no my luck. We are talking incredibly close. Is this way? I can't go any further. This is rather fun. As long as I stay there, I'm fine. Oh, that was interesting. Did say I'd meet all the cars in the spots, and I got lucky the first time. Always the way. If I can get a little bit of a run up here, this would be quite nice. Again, the scenery just works so well on this map. And there's that varied, like, correct amount of varying in roads. Like, I won't say it's too much, I'd say it's perfect on this countryside bit. I mean, obviously there's criticisms in the town centre sections, but for me, because the town centre sections are small, there's not much to them, I'm not really bothered because this is the bit I prefer. I mean, if it was literally Market Square Village thing to Market Square Village, I don't even need like a proper big town. This would be perfect. And that's a bus stop. There we go. Let's actually slow our rate down. We finally got the power going, and then we had to stop at a bus stop. Seems about right. Still 2 minutes late. We've caught up a minute. All of the flooring in between the hill climbs and the narrow roads and the villages has made a minute's difference. So we're going, this will be up to Lower Moncton now, where we went on the 96 service and then ended up in that incredibly narrow village on the 349. I fear that we might actually be going through again. Do we go via locally? Yes, we do. Brilliant. I'm already excited. I mean, it does say via locally on there and gives an option, but I just wanted to double check, because if we didn't, I wasn't particularly going to volunteer myself to go around there if we didn't have to. Oh my. Oh goodness. Oh, that's not where I wanted the car to be. I'm properly going to have to go on the curb. That's all a lot closer than I want to be. Look, that works. Come on. This is not, and I repeat, not a situation that you want to be in. Come on, put a little. Oh. We're just gonna have to accept defeat at this one, I'm afraid. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we're going through at this point because I have tried to put it into reverse and it's not having any of it, and now it's coming up with a load of engine warnings. Those cars, I don't think in real life they would park cars on such a bad blind bend. It is very much not happy. Oh my goodness, okay. I have every single warning that you can have is currently on that dashboard. There we go. There we go. It's cancelled itself. It just, I don't know what on earth happened. It did not like me trying to rev it up that hill. Very much didn't like that. I think the C200 would have reversed there, though. I really do think that would have reversed. But once you're in that situation, and especially when you're with a car that won't move, I mean, in real life, they would probably move. It was a Beamer, but I'd still imagine they'd understand the situation after a little bit and move out of the way. So you won't have to reverse in the bus like this, especially now that you won't be able to get round. So, look, if you're not going to negotiate slightly for me, then unfortunately, I don't think you're getting on the bus. Oh, the doors are now entirely playing up. There we go, it's not working. Oh no, we don't go into Lockerbie, it's... We go down here. Now, why are the doors... Oh, the warnings keep coming up. Every time the warnings come up, the doors go open and I've got to wait for the warnings to clear. Lovely, this is going to be an incredibly fun rest of the trip, seeing as the bus is incredibly poorly now. I'm glad we're not going round Lockerbie. I know we're going Lockerbie Road, and I just worried we'd be going into the estate, but thank goodness we're not. Because I don't think this bus could handle another incredibly narrow estate just like that. Don't wanna. Come on, boss. Please work brakes. I know you're really not happy with me at the moment, but I would appreciate it if the brakes worked. Oh, okay. This is that road. Oh. All of the warnings have come up again. Brilliant. I know you're not happy, but I have to keep going. At this point, I'm just going to make the room. There we go. Again, I feel like cars would be a little bit more negotiable in real life. Do have to bear that in mind. And the warnings are all coming on again. I'll let them drive into me. I mean, there's enough space for them to go around, but OMSI 2AI. Just meeting them all in the worst possible places. Really, really not happy as this boss. Really not happy. And now we go down here. It's a fun route. I think next time I'll choose to take the C200 if I'm honest. But with due to that, I can't see the turn. And for part of that, I just saw that wheel slide. That doesn't fill me with any confidence whatsoever. So there we go. So looking at the time, 7:56. I know we are 3 minutes late, but we are still, technically speaking, only 20 minutes away. So we must do some sort of real fast track bit now to get there. bus did not like me going around that turn that quick. Well, that was an experience going down those roads and the narrow bits. I mean, the worst bit that I'd say we suffered with there was actually the main shared section. Bit that we've driven the Renown down and the 349, and we've driven all sorts of buses on there. So again, I'd still say this bus is suitable. I think any vehicle can get up and down that road. It's just suffering that section. And in real life, the cars would see the bus coming and be like, oh, hang on, we probably should just wait. Notice the sound can be quite strange with this. When you go from F1 to F3, the sound slowly fades in. It's not like immediate, it's quite like a slow fade. It's like, oh, okay, you've changed camera. Okay, no, I need to do something. Oh yeah, what is it? Yeah, sound. So it does tend to have that. That's one of my only criticisms with this. I still think say it's a street light, it's still an incredible bus. To be fair though, with all the challenges that we've faced, I think to only be, I believe, 3 minutes late, to be only be 3 minutes late overall is not bad whatsoever. I feel like that could be a lot worse. Oh wow, a proper nice bus shelter. Very surprising. This bus stop is called, drumroll please, The Church. Oh, not even The Church, it's just called Church. I would like to go to church, please. Where's that? Oh, the church. Which church? The church. Huh? The bus stop is church. I would say that obviously all of this scenery for a route that only runs a couple of times is wasted, but this is the exact kind of thing that I've wanted in OMSI for ages, where you've got a network of routes and you've got all impeccable scenery throughout, but your network of routes varies on its frequency and on its times, and you have to know your timetable, you have to know the duties, you have to do your research for certain routes to enjoy that scenery, to make most of it all. And I think this just as a map is just the ideal example of that. It could not be more ideal. Where it's like this 347 in full only runs a couple of times, so you only get to make most of this entire route just a handful of times a day. It's like you'd have your East Yorkshire like networks that go through all the villages in East Riding, like 142s, 143s. Those kind of routes, and it's again like your 877. It only runs a couple of times a day, and some of them are short workings now, some of them are long workings, and it just works so well in OMSI. It has to actually make you think, and obviously if you were driving this about a couple of hours a day, you'd do the 347, then you'd probably go on to something else, then another route, and I think it's just structured so well. Really, really is. It's the flying horse again. Oh, there is actually somebody waiting. They're just very, very well hidden. Because that's what you want to be when you stood at a bus stop on a bus route that runs a couple of times a day. Is you really want to hide yourself behind all the buses and bushes and behind all the shrubbery so that the said driver can't see you. It's exactly what you want to do. And I think it's amazing that we've pretty much just run 3 minutes late throughout the entire route. We've not caught it up. We've not really lost the time. We've just run 3 minutes late throughout. We had the minor bit at the beginning where I had to reverse, and that's just delayed us, and we've just been proceeded to be that late throughout the entire route. So I mean, the timings are pretty good, and it's quite nice as well that they do slightly allow, be it only start, but do slightly allow for some of the other reverse manoeuvres that we've had to do to shuffle around cars. So I do think that's quite cool as well. Obviously, they've not allowed for every single one, although I think we just got especially unlucky in sections. And the fact that I have got a 10.8 metre street light, I don't think has obviously particularly helped things. And it's like I would not want to pass one of these mid-route. That's why the AI is switched off, because if we'd have passed another bus mid-route, that would be game over. We would not be going anywhere. Although, in fairness, I do imagine that the AI and the timetables again have been structured in a way so you don't pass at bad points. It does strike me as the kind of map where that is put into consideration. I'll tell you something, it's just been nice to get back into driving the long routes. I am going to try and make a little bit more time to do these longer routes coming up over the next few weeks. Because I do really enjoy them. I mean, yes, these specific Smarden routes, a lot of it is just you watching me heavily concentrate. I mean, hopefully drive relatively well. I mean, yes, there's some stuff that can't be helped, unfortunately, but I like to think that on the whole, I'm not doing too bad on these routes. I would say let me know what you think, but we'll probably just leave it at that. So I am hopefully going to be setting up Train Simulator to film that again. I've got a couple of videos in the pipeline that I'm hoping to do. Potentially going to treat myself to some DLCs as well coming up, I think. But we'll see about that bit. They are rather expensive for those of you that do remember. So I will have a little look into that. I'm not interested in Train Sim World. I'm not interested in other bus simulators. I'm quite happy and quite content living the Train Simulator and OMSI 2 Life. They have my kind of setup of game. Yes, you don't walk around as an individual, but for me, I just like getting in a highly realistic bus, a highly realistic train, driving a fictitious route or a real life route, and having that element. And yes, we do go into the school. That doesn't surprise, actually, saying that the time that we've come through on this. I don't know if there's anybody going to be getting off. Oh, we do have someone, actually. Oh, no, we do have a fair few. Come on, boss. What are you doing? There we go, on the brakes. Thank you. Just going to move that down so it's back in the green. I never really get rid of that. I don't really have the time, but I'll make sure all the adult-like kids have got out of the road. And then we'll continue. I think the last time we were in that score was with the Renown, and the time before it was with the ALX 400. After I just said goodbye in real life to the last first Bradford ALX 400. I believe it wasn't that, it was the last original new to Bradford one we'd said bye to. It was quite a sad period, was that, when we said goodbye to 30910. It had been an absolutely tremendous workhorse. Really was. W778DWX. It was an absolute tank of a vehicle. Certainly one of the best there were. By a mile. In fairness, I don't know if the 96 goes from there. Anyway, we were at the school one time with the LX400. I remember going on it, and it used to do all sorts of routes across the network. It was always a pleasure to, if you didn't have much else to do in an afternoon and it was out, and you could find it. It was always a pleasure to go on. Really was. Had a lot of power behind it for WReg B7, an absolute ton of power. It never ever lost any speed on the hills. I mean, it was one of the last golden oldies for First Bradford before we had the street deck influence takeover that we've currently got. Still very strange for me when I see street decks operated school services. Yeah, I can still remember when it was the old ECW Leyland Olympians running them, the old XPTE and Yorkshire Rider ones. And that's what I can remember. And then we've got the Northern Counties Palatine ones from the west of England, the 346ers. And then we've got the Arwo Olympians that were new to London and ex-Leeds, old Unibus ones. And we had the Royals. I mean, it's going back a very long time now. What those were the days when Bradford had one of the oldest fleets in West Yorkshire. Quite certain there was a ringing tone then, I believe. I slightly heard it. Let me have a little look while we let this gentleman on. I definitely heard a sound. I don't know if it was just in my head. It might have been in my head. That is always preferable to actually being allowed on camera. I was slightly impaled in the wood when I just had a look then. Again, it's near the end of the route, so we're slightly excused. But I wasn't particularly pleased with where that car was parked. There's no way I could have got the correct angle from the start. Well, I'll tell you something, I'd definitely take the 10.8 metre out again. I would take it on this, and I'd take it on the 349. And I guarantee, because I won't be on camera, it would actually all go to plan. Always the way with these things. I haven't also helped myself by putting the park car levels on as high as it can physically be. I think, or not as high, but relatively high. I think we're on about halfway along the scale, if not just over. So I don't think that's obviously helped matters. I think if that would have been slightly lower, I don't think I'd have had as much of a problem. I imagine it was slightly lower during this time of the day because most people in the cars will be setting off for work or school. So we can also put that down slightly to blame. And let me go. Thank you. Well, the other cars were like that earlier. We wouldn't have had as many problems. And there goes the 77 to the school. Leave that. Oh, don't want to do that. Believe that then spends most of the day on the 304. Because although I have proven that you can take the Woodacre on the short 349s, I don't know if they actually do them. Well, I say that, with how little running boards there are, it probably does in fairness. Oh, and there's another. And that's your 304. Oh, do we actually go via the retail park? I have absolutely no idea. Okay. Might have to go by the assumption that we do. Not rather helpful, but we'll have to go by that assumption. And if it pings off, we'll just spin round. We'll spin round just before the retail park and not go up. Yep, no, we definitely don't go around here, so I will find somewhere to turn around and we'll spin around and we'll go back. Just have a little bit of a look, because, yeah, no, there's no way I can physically get round, so we'll just have to utilise the junction to turn all the way around and we'll go right past the railway station again. I did have a feeling we didn't serve it, but obviously with people working in the retail park, I didn't know if that was part of the thought process that went into the route where they're like, oh, you'd have to take retail workers to work as well, but clearly that wasn't a consideration, and the lag is definitely not having a good time. The frame rate is not happy. Let me just check, is there an actual bus stop? I don't actually, if I'm entirely honest with you, Oh, do we actually... Is that the towers? Oh, yes, it is. Okay. I feel a little bit silly now because if I'd have actually paid attention to the road signs, I'd have noticed that it was the same name, but these things happen. Oh, there's a second car and it's a Beamer again. Well, I wiped out another BMW. So yeah, that's something to look out for then in future. If it says the towers again, then it means that you're not. It means that you don't save the retail perk. That presumably means you don't do your peak time mornings, and I imagine you don't do your peak time evenings. So it's very much you serve this location for shoppers rather than workers in the shops. Is there? Complaining about my delays. In fairness, we should have finished 2 minutes ago. I don't think we're not doing that bad. I mean, if it was that worried, he could have just walked it into the centre that is quite literally here. Can't actually read the top bit. Basically saying that the relief driver isn't on time, so something about relief drivers and time problems, so this will be going straight onto the back wall when I get there. It won't be going on to stand. Come on, brakes, do your job. But that man was not particularly pleased. I tried to brake, thought I was braking, and the bus had other plans. That's quite a busy bus. And I think we'll just about leave it at that, because I'm not going to get it much better. The engine has stuck itself on, so we're going to ignore that and we will finish off this video here. Funnily enough, even though the route was timed at an hour, it's taken a lot longer to film this versus the 349, that it was actually quicker than it took pretty much to film it. So that was a fun route, was the 347. Unfortunately, we got incredibly unlucky with parked cars and AI cars, AI traffic. Otherwise, I don't think we'd have had that many problems. There was the odd bit that I wasn't expecting the 347 bus to go down, and then I was caught at that. But apart from that, it's been good. The bus did okay, and as I say, apart from the minor bit here and there, most of it was down to slight driver error. It meant that I think in future this bus will get around there without a problem, now that I know the route and I roughly know what to expect. So that means we'll have to do this route again very, very soon in the future. That's something I already do look forward to, as it was an incredibly nice route to drive. If you have enjoyed this video, do be sure to click that like button so that more people can find it and enjoy like you have. And if you haven't already, do be sure to subscribe to the And More Bus Videos YouTube channel for more content like this from the simulation section, as well as more OMSI content and Train Simulator hopefully coming soon, as well as an archive of nearly 5,000 backseat engine-focused public transport videos from the UK and beyond, with buses, trams, trains and more. It's the channel, the archive that you do want to have a little look at on this channel, and there's up to 21 additional videos added to the archive each week. So there's, as well as the fresh uploads, there's also a massive archive going back quite a few years with all sorts of vehicle types, so there'll be something in there to interest everyone. Once again, though, I would like to thank you all for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed this one, and I will see you all in the next video I make. Goodbye for now. Bye!